Didn't mean to take it over.
No. Hey, good afternoon. Today is June 30th, 2025. We have a special called Rowan County Commission meeting. It's 3 p.m. As usual, we will have our chaplain come forward and give us a solemnizing prayer. Commissioners, if you'll join me, we'll stand and get started.
I'm going to pray for y'all today, but I ask you to pray for me. I'll be going in Wednesday and have a clip put on my heart, leaking heart valve. As your chaplain, I ask you to pray for me. I appreciate it. Lord, we come to you today on behalf of our county commissioners, Lord, thank you for the privilege and honor to do what we do, dear Lord. In behalf of your name, we ask you, Lord, to be with them, to give them the wisdom they need today and every day to make the right decisions, dear Lord. Thank you for the time, the effort's been put in for this meeting today. Thank you for Rowan County, Lord. Thank you for a blessing to be here today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chaplain Taylor. We will certainly remember you in our prayers. You got a lot going on. We love you and appreciate you, buddy. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Scott and Rod, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioners, for agreeing to this call meeting today to hear an incentive request from Project Powerball. This is a large, internationally known company that's been around for many years. They're currently looking at multiple locations in the southeast for a new manufacturing facility, and Rowan County is one of those communities that they are considering. If our community was selected, the company would create nearly 1,200 jobs over the next 5 years, and also invest about $264 million in business, personal property, and real property during this time period. And just to update the board, I did receive notification Friday that the company long-term plans to invest $500 million in its new facility. We don't have a timeline for this additional investment, so we're going to go with the numbers we have for right now, but again, $500 million long-term in their chosen facility. And the company plans to begin operations in its chosen facility in the summer of next year. And based on the project parameters, they currently are eligible for a Level 3 grant. According to your adopted incentive policy, this is equivalent to 50% of the property taxes paid over the next 5 years. And the numbers that were presented before the board were based on, of course, the current tax rate of 58 cents, and then investment as laid out in your report, $70 billion in real property and about $194 million in personal property by the end of 2030. And 8-year lifespans were assumed for all business personal property depreciation. So with that said, over the 5 incentivized years, the county would collect about $4.6 million, and again, a 50-50 grant, so the county would net $2.3 million during that time, and the incentive total would be $2.3 million during that time. Over a 10-year span, we're looking at $8.9 million of county revenue collected, $2.3 million grant, and then a net to the county of $6.6 million. And of course, due to the scope of this project, the company is also up for incentives from the state of North Carolina, probably multiple incentive programs, but any required local matches for these incentives would be required or would be satisfied by the requested Level 3 grant that we're asking for today. In addition to that, based on some software modeling that we ran, we're predicting that the full-time jobs would lead to another 794 indirect and induced jobs in Rowan County, and these would generate about $58 million of employee wages and benefits. And additionally to that, Powerball would also generate about $191 million of gross revenue for these companies that are creating the 794 indirect and induced jobs. And of course, that's through Jobs EQ software projection. So in closing, we're looking at least $200 million of new investment in Rowan County over the next 5 years, almost 1,200 new jobs, and about $6.6 million of net property tax revenue to the county over a 10-year time span. And then another 794 indirect and induced jobs in Rowan County. So we thank the commissioners for considering this request, and if the board deems it so, we'd ask for a motion to approve a Level 3 grant for Project Powerball. Happy to answer any questions.
Scott, are there any clawback provisions if they don't meet these requirements?
Yes, sir, that's correct. The way the agreement is, our standard agreement is written, if they don't meet their job goals for a particular year, it's reduced on a pro rata basis. If they at any time go below the 50% threshold of the jobs they promised, then the agreement terminates and they have to repay the previous 3 years worth of incentives to the county.
Just want the general public to know this. That's the reason I asked.
Also, I think, I don't know if we can mention the facility they're looking at. Is that allowed?
Well, I would hold off at this time, but it is an existing facility in Rowan County, an existing building that's currently vacant.
Okay. Well, so I mean, what I'm driving at here, we lost a company due to what's the word? Consolidation of facilities with this company prior. And do you recall how many of those jobs were lost here?
I don't think we ever got a net total because a lot of the, or most of the employees were offered opportunities to work for the company in different locations in the region. But I do think that the job losses were probably minimal. Yeah, I do believe they were minimal.
So Rod is saying that there's a Warren notice which the state is required, well, the company is required to notify the state if they intend to close, and the initial notice was 246 jobs were being lost by this consolidation. So those were Rowan County jobs that were being lost, and so in place, and then they left the building, and it's been empty for, it's been 3 or 4 years?
It's been about 2 years.
2 years? So it's been sitting empty for 2 years. So we're not breaking new ground, not going out in the county anywhere. So this is a building that will no longer deteriorate. That's good. It hasn't been maintained, but using it as an existing building. I should have maybe called and asked you guys this ahead of time, so maybe you could be prepared, but you may know. Do you have any idea what the investment with that prior company was here in Rowan County?
At the time, it's been many years ago, but at the time it was, I want to say approximately $120 million.
All right. Bottom line is we lost 246 jobs. We have an empty building. Years ago, the investment was a little over $100 million. And so we're replacing that with now occupying an existing building, which is good community, almost 1,200 jobs with higher than, we haven't talked about wages.
Right. The average wage for the new jobs is in excess of $62,000 per year. So, and
which exceeds our county average. We and that's good because we don't ever want to. We don't want to incentivize companies to come here. Companies can come here, and if folks want to go to work for them, they're welcome to do that. But we're not going to incentivize a company to come here that's paying wages and benefits below our county average. So this, my question is, does this help or hurt our county average?
it helps quite a bit. Again, as a matter of fact, the lowest paying job there, based on the information we've been provided, is higher than our county average. And this isn't a case of some higher paid positions skewing the numbers. Again, I think there's at least half of these jobs are going to be your, I don't want to say entry level, but your skilled type positions, not white collar jobs.
And this is manufacturing.
Correct, it's
Yeah,
manufacturing.
good. All right, I unfortunately got myself involved in an online discussion on this that I'm still
I
in.
read it.
Yeah, I know, that was all my fault, but, these are the points that we're making, right? An empty building, lost jobs, 264 jobs, replacing it with 1,200 jobs, may end up being a $500 million deal instead of $120 million that we lost. And I'm trying to figure out why we aren't doing backflips over this. This is a great deal for Rowan County. So, and the argument sometimes is about the incentives, and we get that, we do, but we're competing across the country for jobs like this, and we still, you hear me say it a lot, we still have folks working 3 jobs, no benefits, minimum wage, and these are the jobs that we want to bring up folks that just feel like they haven't had a chance. These are great opportunities for Rowan County folks, so appreciate what y'all have done.
This project is, we are in competition for this project with other states in the Southeast, and it is our understanding that these other states have offered very large cash incentives. I mean, their incentives are structured differently from ours, but our hope is that the available building, the quality of the building, the infrastructure, our workforce will help sway the company to pick Rowan County.
One of the things that we do, we have a group of folks from Catawba College, the public schools, Livingston College, and Rowan Cabarrus. I think I've got everybody in there. And they meet once a month, and they meet with representatives from the county, and they meet representatives from economic development. And we talk about the type of workers we need. We talk about how much these new companies mean to all of those people, and just keep people aware. There's a big, you see on national news now, you see folks talking about people going back and getting blue-collar jobs, and they can make $100,000 a year. Well, we've been talking about this stuff for 15 years, and not everybody needs to go to college and rack up $40,000, $50,000 in debt, which is a small amount compared to some of them. They need to go to work. There's all kinds of great jobs available if people will just look at it. And that's one of the things that this group does, is it talks to folks about what is available to folks if they go to Rowan Cabarrus or if they go to Catawba, what they can major in and who could use them in businesses. And Livingston College the same way. So I applaud the EDC for being a part of that group and to help keep everybody informed of what the needs are as far as employees in this community.
I want to say one more thing. I often hear, we can't find employees as it is. Companies coming in here. I just want to say, these guys know this. There is a list of things that these companies are checking off. Location, weather, floods, crime, electricity costs, right? What else? What else am I missing? Insurance costs. But one of the biggest things on their checklist is available workforce. So these companies do an official labor study to see, hey, they might have good weather, they might have an available building, they might have this, and this, but if their workforce is not available, trained, and ready, we're not going there. And so over and over, as we hear these deals come across, we hear folks say, well, we'll never get the employees. And it's actually one of our strengths is our labor force. It's what's drawing, one of the things drawing folks to Rowan County is an available workforce. Now, definition of an available workforce doesn't mean they're sitting at home with nothing to do or not working. There could be some of that, but a lot of it is they realize there are those folks that are in these positions of working non-benefited jobs, and they know they can attract those folks to these jobs. So we do have the labor force, and that's one of the things drawing those folks here. So,
Well, a matter of fact, our initial contact regarding this project was through a consultant the company had hired, who was hired strictly to study the workforce in the region. He'd already done the workforce study, but he wanted to speak with us and get any insights we had about the available labor market. So that was the first step in this overall project.
all right, so if no more questions, then we'll conduct a public hearing for this incentive request. If there's anyone that's here that'd like to speak, we'd love to hear from you. All right, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve the incentive request for Project Powerball? Thank you,
Second.
Commissioner. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. Guys, thanks. And ladies, thank you. Appreciate you guys. Now get back to work, will you? Did you? Well, good. Any timeline on when we may know something on this? Good. Well, as we're praying for our chaplain, we'll be praying for this deal too. So, all right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you being here.
Mr. Chairman, I did want to mention something that we might wanted to add to the agenda. We found out that we have 4 teams headed to World Series or something. Can't add anything to it, to a special call meeting? Okay. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Appreciate
We'll look at it to the next one.
Appreciate setting you up. Yeah. We do. We have 4 girls that are heading off, 4 teams heading off, some to state, some regional. We may be right back in the World Series. We did budget money for that because it's very expensive. So we'll figure out in a timing wise how we can
Sounds good, as long as we
release-
keep it on our radar.
yeah, release those dollars to them. Sorry about that. I didn't do that. All right, Aaron. Next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request from the Sheriff's Office to approve a special type of overtime. You did it several weeks ago. This is overtime over and above what I'm authorized to approve. Looks like Jason's here. If there's any questions, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Aaron, hadn't we gone through this through the budget process? I remember we had a discussion about it, and we set it up that it would go monthly. I don't know why they keep coming back wanting more and more and more. It's time to say no. That's my opinion.
Hey.
The overtime request is, we've pretty much been doing this for about I don't know how long we've been doing it, for a year for detention. Sounds like, is that about accurate, Anna? It's basically for someone to come work another shift where they have a vacancy. In detention, we have to have a minimum of 7 individuals to man the main jail and 4 individuals to maintain the annex. If we don't have that many, we have to shut the jail down. So if I don't have people showing up for a shift and they're going to be missing somebody or somebody's out sick, I have to find coverage to go in there and work. This overtime would allow for folks who are not scheduled to work, in other words, it's their day off, they would be able to sign up to go work a shift for another squad where they're short. And that's where this overtime allows us to do that. Otherwise, I don't know what we would do. If you force people to go work, they're gonna quit. So this overtime is definitely helping us out with the shortages. We are roughly, I checked today at 1 o'clock, we're about 22 positions short in the entire sheriff's office. That's the sheriff's office wide. I'll split that down the middle, and it's about 10 or 11 short in detention, 10 or 11 short on what I call the criminal side, which is everything else. We have applicants in the process every day, but it takes months to get somebody hired. It does not happen in a couple of weeks. So the reason why we have to keep coming back every month is because that's what we were asked to do. Before we came and asked for like a 6-month period of overtime, and we didn't have to come back every month. We certainly are not going to spend money we don't have. The money that we've been using is coming from lap salary money, which is money from the vacant positions. So if I have vacant positions, so right now you've approved the budget for this going the next year. So we have salary money in there for these 20-some vacant positions. It's going to go in there July 1st. And that's the money that we're essentially asking to be used to pay for this overtime. So we're not asking for anything extra in our budget. We're not asking for more money. We're just asking to use the money that we've already been budgeted for salaries. But I've got to have minimum staff working to keep things going. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Jason, I'm not gonna ride you back, but I'm sitting here every time we see y'all, it's got my hand out. And it's time it stopped. Y'all need to manage yourself a lot better than what you're doing. I know it's not your position, but I'm just saying, if that money's already allocated in the budget, then why do you have to come and ask for overtime money? I don't understand that.
It's because of the way the overtime policy is written with the county is the reason why we have to come ask for it. Mr. Church has authorized overtime in the past, and that was fine. The only difference, this exception, it's the same money. It's just the only difference is that if you're a lieutenant, you're allowed to do the overtime, whereas the county policy would not allow a lieutenant to work overtime and get overtime. And if an officer takes vacation, let's say I want to take vacation tomorrow and take the day off. If I take that vacation day, but then Wednesday I decide I'm going to pick up one of these vacant shifts and work that shift, they would not gain the overtime for that shift because they took vacation a couple days earlier. So you're basically penalizing them for taking a day off. They wouldn't get that overtime. The county policy, I believe, is that in that 28-day cycle, if they take a vacation or is out sick, then they wouldn't get overtime for those hours that they did come in and work that extra shift.
So what they're asking is for approval above and beyond what the federal Fair Labor Standards Act requires. I have the authority to approve overtime. They're asking for something above and beyond that, which is if an employee has not, if they've taken a vacation and they come back from their vacation, normally if they work, they wouldn't get overtime. Well, they're not required by law to get overtime. They would just not use their vacation for the time they had been out. What they're asking is for them to be paid.
So they have to work a certain number of hours. What'd you say, a 28-day period? Is it 28 days?
Yeah, 28-day pay cycle.
171 hours.
171 hours. So they take off a day, and let's say that's 8 hours. So they only work 163 hours because they took a day off. And so you're saying he comes back and says, well, I'm not going to work that shift because I'm just going to get regular pay. I'm not going to get overtime pay.
It would just count as regular pay, just if they work that extra shift.
Well,
it's not any more
no.
money.
They're not.
If they hadn't,
they're not going to get any money for working overtime.
well, it's not overtime because technically, if they went on vacation, they didn't work that time, so they just wouldn't
They're
use.
still getting paid vacation.
Yes.
And you're still getting the day's vacation,
It just wouldn't count as overtime. That shift would not count as overtime.
but they're still getting paid.
They're still getting paid, yes, sir.
They'll still get paid for the extra 8 hours they work. Or no?
I don't.
Right, so if you work, you're gonna get paid for the hours you work. The difference is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, that you're not gonna get overtime pay because you've got to meet the overtime, like you have to actually work to get overtime. And so because they took a day
What is
of
it?
vacation, that's not a day of work, so it's not counting as,
They're gonna
right.
get
They're just gonna
paid
get regular
for the
hour
extra
pay.
8 hours.
Correct. Correct.
But they're not gonna get overtime pay, which is what,
Right.
a time and a half?
Yes, yes.
So they want the time and a half.
In order to
They're still gonna
incentivize
get
them
paid
to come in
overtime.
and work.
They're
they
still
won't
gonna
have-
get paid for the work. They're
Your
just not
regular
getting-
time, yes, sir.
And this, I mean, how common? Well, let me ask this first. Does this affect all of our other departments as well?
So we currently don't allow this in any other department.
That's right.
Is this gonna, I mean, we've got 1,000 employees. Does this create this problem for DSS and Health Department and Tax Department and? No?
Well, you're talking about the 171, they're not on a 171.
Right.
But on their regular pay, it would still affect them.
Or 40-hour a week. So anything over 40 hours in a week gets paid as overtime. The law enforcement, you have a special exemption, not you, but the tax exemption for law enforcement is that we can run that on a 28-day cycle versus looking at overtime each week. And so for DSS or other departments, we're looking at overtime kicks in after 40 hours each week. But it does have to be.
So then we have the,
Worked hours.
okay, so we have the same question then. We've carved this out. What, instruct us, because none of us know it, or maybe he does, but instruct us. Does someone who works at DSS who takes a day off, takes 8 hours off and only work 32 hours, and they say, hey, we're behind, come in. Are they going to ask?
They're not going to get paid time and a half. And yes, they could ask do this in other places in the county. But what has been happening is that has not been being applied in other places.
And when this big article comes out in the Post about it, we probably will get questions.
Just stay off Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a big issue. It's a huge issue.
The biggest issue is the jail. Not having the staffing for the jail is the biggest thing I think that we're running into. There's a minimum set by the state that we have to have there to keep it running.
The big issue is the debate between overtime and comp time. And that's really our big issue, is the current policy is everybody gets comp time. So you don't get paid time and a half. You don't-
Not if I approve it,
But if you approve it, they do.
which,
So if you let Mr. Church approve it month to month, or however he wants to do it the county way, as long as he authorizes them to get paid out time and a half, then they would still get that. Otherwise, it would revert back to comp time only. And that's kind of what the bad situation is with comp time, is you have people that they keep getting essentially vacation time is what comp time is. So you keep working extra to get more vacation that you can never take because you're short.
Now I am confused. So they take a day off, they work an extra 8 hours, but they get comp time instead?
not if I approve overtime based on what the board has authorized me to do, as the way it's required by the Fair Labor Standards Act, then they would just get paid the time. Because if they've already taken vacation, then they wouldn't hit the 171 mark to get time and a half. So what they're asking you to do is to give them, time, then time and a half, which is over and above what I can approve. I can approve standard, overtime that's required by the feds, but I can't approve this type of overtime.
So tomorrow is July 1.
So you've currently approved this overtime through July 5th because that's how the payroll cycle ran. So July 6th is when the new payroll cycle will start for the 28-day cycle for them. So that's why we needed to bring this today to talk about it. Otherwise, we don't have another meeting until after that date has passed. Correct.
We need a longer-term solution here that doesn't open up the county to a huge liability. And frankly, I mean, I don't know, Jay, has this become a legal issue with the other employees?
I don't think so. I mean, we've vetted this through HR as a policy that you can make this change for the jail, and I think the jail is, in a lot of regards, different than most other departments because we can't get it staffed. And we have minimum staffing requirements that are set by law.
So they're asking for this on patrol and the jail, just to be
Oh.
clear. They're asking for it in both
But
places.
we're short there too.
Right.
And, but no, I think we can cross that bridge when we get there, but I don't think we've crossed into a legal issue now by considering the policy short-term for the sheriff's department under the circumstances.
But patrol officers are not under the same guidelines as they are at the detention center, is that correct? In other words, they have to have so many people at the detention center.
Yes.
They don't have to have so many on patrol. So
There's
my
not.
concern is, I don't want to open this thing up, and all of a sudden, everybody's doing overtime. Next thing you know, I've got 21 other departments saying, well, why ain't I getting paid overtime? If the jail is the one that has the requirement, then I'm okay with doing it for the jail,
Well, there's,
the
with
detention center, whatever you want to call it.
public safety is gonna have a minimum staffing for the amount of citizens you have anyway, so.
Correct, that's what I'm
Patrol-
saying. I'm okay with that because
Well,
it's a
patrols
requirement.
public safety as well, so there has to be minimum staffing to have enough officers on the road to answer the calls that come in. So that's why they're asking for both, I think, is because I'm sure your department has minimum staffing for patrol,
Yes.
and they're not able to meet the requirements for minimum staffing for patrol, which means they're not able to cover the call volume that's coming in for patrol. So they're asking for it for both to try to give an incentive to some of these guys to work a little bit more overtime,
Yes, sir.
is what I'm gathering.
Yes. And really the difference is, and Aaron can chime in, but really if Aaron approves the overtime to then be paid the time and a half, which he will do and has done, the only difference in what you're voting on today and that is that a lieutenant can get this, whereas he can't get it the other way. And my lieutenants are out here working just like everybody else. They're like a regular officer. They're just a field supervisor. They're answering domestics. They're doing things just like everybody else is. As a matter of fact, this is a debate right now that we're having with Kelly on whether or not the lieutenant should be exempt or not exempt based on the workload they're doing. So that's subject to possibly being changed in the future, maybe not. But they're out here working. They would not get the overtime on what Aaron could approve if you didn't vote for this. The other thing is taking a day off. Taking a day off within that 28-day cycle they would still get paid for working that day, but they wouldn't get it at time and a half. And that's, as Commissioner Lancaster said, that's kind of the incentive. We're kind of throwing that out there to these guys to get them to sign up and work somebody else's shift for them. An incentive, like a sign-in bonus or anything else, just an incentive to get them to want to do it. But that's really the only difference. There's not any difference in the money as far as how much they're getting paid.
How much additional payroll do you expect this to be?
I don't have those numbers. I don't have a whole lot of people on patrol that are signing up to do a lot of the overtime. Anna would get those reports. I mean, she could give you more.
I don't
accurate
think the last payroll, there was very many of these timesheets, but I would have to check with him. I didn't. Now, I mean, when you look at the detention center, we did have a large spike in overtime. I think you guys saw some information on that over the last year, but it ran in cycles depending on when staff was low and when staff was high. So I mean, potentially you would see that same spike. The key will be that they stay within the salaries that were allotted for these vacant positions, that they're not spending more than what
And I think that's what Mr. Pierce
What
is
was
saying, is we
allotted.
do have the lap salaries, and we want to make sure that we're not going above and beyond what's in that lap salary that we already budgeted for. Because once we surpass that, then now it's coming from somewhere else.
Right.
I think that's what the chairman's saying, as well as other departments are gonna be looking, well, they went outside of their budget, why can't we for our overtime as
Yeah,
well?
I don't know that, but I'm pretty certain we have never gone outside of that.
And then I think something else we may want to see is, this is a short-term Band-Aid. We probably want to see something different that is going to help us long-term. This incentive is only going to be incentive for people for a little while, to where they're going to be tired of even that.
Right.
And I know hiring people is what everybody says is going to be the big change in the fix, but there may be other things, special teams maybe not being special teams, or special activities, so we can keep these guys rested, so we can take care of the minimum things we need to before we do extra stuff.
We're sending 6 employees from detention to BLET starting July, so in a couple of days. So we're gonna be pulling 6 more employees from detention that are current employees to send to the basic law enforcement school, which is, what, 5 or 6 months now?
Yes, sir.
So, in addition to the 10 vacancies we have, when we pull those 6 out, they'll go to 16 short.
And they're coming out of the jail.
Yes, sir. They're already detention officers that we're agreeing to send to basic law enforcement training so they can further their career and go, flip to the criminal side. So we're sending them to go to school. They're already county employees, but they're still working in detention right now, but next month, here in a few days, they'll be getting pulled out to go to school for 5 or 6 months.
Well, we got a timing issue with being off in July. I don't know anyone that's crazy about this, because it's a Band-Aid every month. We set ourselves up for this, right? You're right, you said, well, this is what y'all asked us to do.
We did.
Yeah. We did. Thank you, sir, may I have another? Right? So, but we need a long-term solution. Because of the timing, I'm willing to do it for this month, but we need to sit down with you and the sheriff and come up with see what is everyone else doing, what's our liability going to be across the county.
Try to project how much money we're actually looking. We're looking at, 2 guys every month, something. We're not talking about any money. So just, if we can try to project it out to what you expect it might be. And I know that you don't know how many people you're gonna hire and that kind of stuff, but we don't know if we have a little problem or if we have a big problem.
Yes, sir. Well, back to Commissioner Pierce's question, is this for, is this going to be for jail only, or is this going to be for jail and patrol?
It was written for jail and patrol.
Is that what you're still asking?
I am still asking for that.
Chairman, I'll just add, from looking at the numbers and looking at the call volume's not changed, but they have less deputies on the road. So I see it's probably going to be a necessity for it to be jail and patrol, just to keep us staffed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Chief. All right, other discussion? I know this is uncomfortable, just went through budget, but you have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve this for 30 days.
With the agreement to get together with the sheriff and Jason? Yep. Second, all right, further discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
All right, let's, we've got a change order for KMD. Well, howdy.
Well,
This change order is under the umbrella of the corporate and box hanger project. It is specific to the corporate hanger site where we've run into some issues with an underground spring of some type. They are dewatering as they're supposed to, but it's turned into a critical path item, which is why we're asking for it today rather than waiting until the second meeting in July where we would lose another 21 days of work because they can't do anything. We've told them, don't do work that's not approved with a change order, so essentially this change order is to create 2 line items, one for stone, one for fabric. We did ask Andy to do a not-to-exceed estimate just to make sure we weren't creating an open-ended change order with unlimited quantities. And since there's no consent agenda, we're putting it on the regular agenda. If you have questions, we're both here. He can try to answer them.
But changes the contract by $19,226.40.
This is part of the unit-based part of the contract where they think we need 100 tons, but we might only use 92 tons type thing. So this is the engineer's estimate to add to the unit-based contract. We'll come back into the contract once y'all's civil quantities are done to zero those out. But this is to basically add the line items that were not in the original contract that were not anticipated.
It could balance out with future credits as well, just like our previous 2 pay apps came with large amounts of credits because of the footing changes. So while the numbers don't look the same to me looking at this change order, we got $300,000 worth of credits somewhere in there. So it all is going to need to be balanced in the very end.
Commissioner Pierce, any comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that, the box hangers are not included in this change order. They're done. So, we've been dealing with this water issue since day one. Seems like every time we stick a shovel in the ground, it creates a fountain. So this is something that's gonna have to be fixed so that we can get the corporate hangar finished. And, you know, I'll make a motion to approve it.
Have a second?
Second.
Other discussion?
Quick question, do we know how much time it'll add in this?
No, that's still being worked on. We have to come back.
Think you can fix it with gravel, or you'll have to pipe it off, or what?
It's basically building a way for the water to leak out underground, but there's no way to daylight it. There's no piping system that deep. So it's basically going to give water a way to get out from where the foundation's going. The water's there now.
So it's fabric and rock. We had our meeting today. The intention is for them to get those items as soon as we let them know it's approved and be able to start work on Monday on the actual bit. It's kind of sounds like a French drain. It's been lovingly called the burrito drain coming up for the fabric and the stone, but those are not line items currently in the project that we weren't expecting to find this water issue in the corporate hangar site. So public safety not impacted and box hangar site not impacted.
Could we sell the water to SRU?
That's probably where it's coming from.
As an,
I was about to say.
We've had it tested several times.
No chlorine in it.
No chlorine.
That's good.
I want to sell bottled water, natural spring.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Thank you all.